thanks for being here, David, Jesse. Yes, we are still safe. Really, really appreciate you guys asking. All is well. All is well where we live. We'll
Yes.
definitely give you an update as to what's happening with the fires and with our fundraising efforts. All of that stuff. We'll give folks a couple minutes more to join us to hang out. But thank you so much for being here. While we're getting settled, let us know how we look, how we sound. Always like to double check. Things sometimes change. You just never know. As we know, gremlins come in and mess
Indeed.
with our settings in the middle of the night.
It's
Uh,
true.
Lots of good friends are here. Adam Miklobowski, Ed Looney says Severance is back. I've never really watched Severance, but I saw that there was like a performance art thing with Adam Scott sitting in a glass container.
Oh, I missed that. Yeah, I started watching Severance because friend and neighbor Gary Cotty is a big fan of it and insisted that we do. And I've seen like two or three of them, and I get what's cool about it, but it hasn't really just sucked me in yet. So I probably have to start over at this point because it's been a while. But I know people are very excited about season two. I'm doing a Mad
Yes.
Men rewatch right now, though. That show's great.
We're rewatching The Sopranos.
Oh,
That
good
show is
one.
great.
Yep, yep, yep.
All of the shows that shows that change television shows.
Mm.
Yes, David, R.I.P. David Lynch. We will talk about
Yes,
David
yes,
Lynch
yes,
quite a
yes,
bit here
yes.
today. Matt says he is waiting around another half an hour before seeing Hard Truths. Oh, good for you.
Ah,
I'm glad
cool.
you are seeing it. Yeah, Ed says yes, there was a severance pop up with most of the cast in Grand Central.
Huh.
That's a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave is out seeing Hard Truths right now.
Nice. It Can Be says, I like your names at the bottom. I guess Riverside does that now. I
Mm.
guess I could have taken that off, but they're there. Anyway, so good to see you. Thanks so much to all you guys for your interest in helping us with
Yes.
our fundraising efforts. Couple things to update you on with that. This upcoming Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific, that is Thursday, January 23rd. Supposedly, we're going to have Oscar nominations. They have
Fingers
moved them.
crossed.
Yeah, we hope that's going to happen. So what we'll do that day, because that's at 5:30 a.m. At 8 a.m., we will be here. I'll have a link to that soon, and that'll be pinned to the top of the page. That's going to be a fundraiser. All of the super chat, all the super thanks that you guys are so kind to send us during our live streams, we will take all of that and share it with a few different charities that we have chosen. We'll tell you more about those. And then we're doing several Table for One reviews as fundraisers. This is where we meet up with you online and review the movie of your choosing. And then it's really, really fun. And we send you the video to keep. We've done so many of these. We love doing them, but we're going to take these next 10, and share that money with charities. So we are talking about sending money to the Pasadena Humane Society, the Entertainment Community Fund, which is a
Hmm.
nonprofit that helps folks working in the industry in times of crisis, and the World Central Kitchen, Jose Andres's World Central Kitchen. So we are excited about that. Yes, 11 a.m., Brent, 11 a.m. Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern on
Yes.
Thursday. Yes, thank you for asking. Mary Goff says, I turned 80 yesterday.
Ooh,
Hubby took me to an
congratulations.
awesome dinner and the Brutalist film. That is a big day. Happy
Wow.
birthday to you, Mary. That's awesome.
Mazel tov.
It's very inspiring. So yeah, we have links for all these things available. We did a whole separate video with descriptions of all of our Table for Ones. We've got, as of this recording, there's only one spot left on the charity Table for One reviews. So if that's something that you're interested in, ChristyLemire.com is a place to go and
Don't
sign
sleep
up.
on it.
So yeah, so thank you so much, and we're excited to see all of you. Kate Walton, love the nail polish color, Christy. Yeah, that is Essie in the Cabana. This is my summer color that I'm wearing in the winter because I thought I could use a little cheeriness.
Well, pick
Good
me
to see
up.
you all. Let's talk about David Lynch.
Yes, yes, died of emphysema at 78. One of this generation's great filmmakers. And I was on Madeline Brand yesterday, and I said, arguably the most successful experimental filmmaker in Hollywood history. Somebody who was very open to embracing a dreamlike narrative, um, I think Pauline Kael called him the first pop surrealist. So yeah, he very much established his own style of storytelling and of visuals, and it could be horrifying or entrancing. but he's stuck to it. And even when he's making like a big budget movie like Dune, he's managing to work in a certain degree of weirdness that nobody else would have.
Yeah, I think even The Straight Story, which
Yeah.
is G-rated and his most accessible film and his gentlest, kindest film, still has a lot of traces of his tone
Mm.
and the kinds of stories about a certain kind of America
Yeah.
that he would often tell.
And just his sort of like Midwestern mode of communicating that he likes so much.
For sure.
Um, and we should talk about him as an actor too, because he had that amazing cameo in The Fablemans as John
Yep.
Ford. He popped up in his own stuff, most notably as the head of the FBI in Twin Peaks.
Mhm.
And I remember him from an '80s movie that is nowhere to be found called Zelly and Me, with Isabella Rossellini, where he plays the Rossellini character's boyfriend, whom she thinks is a millionaire, and then late in the film comes to discover that actually he's the chauffeur, and basically
Oh.
was sort of like wearing the millionaire's clothes when nobody was at home, and it was a whole thing. But he's quite good in that too. So he did a lot of amazing stuff. Started out making really odd little short films, and then with the help of American Film Institute was able to get Racerhead completed, and then that film caught the eye of Mel Brooks and got him the Elephant Man, and he just has had a very idiosyncratic, but I think most directors really want to juggle art and commerce, and I felt like he figured out a way to sort of turn his own eccentricity into a brand and get people like ABC to pay for things.
I just think his name is a genre.
Yeah, it's an adjective.
Something is Lynchian, or
Yeah.
like it's Hitchcockian or Kubrickian or Spielbergian, and you know exactly what that looks like, what that sounds like, how that makes you feel just from the very mention of his name. And we'll see other movies that have surrealist qualities to them, or like a dark mystery to them, and it feels Lynchian. The use of
Yeah.
lighting, things like that. So I think that in itself, that kind of tourism, is, and how specific and weird his voice was, made him singular, made him daring. And maybe if you didn't necessarily even get what he was aiming for the first time you saw a film, like, you won't forget it. It changes you.
Sure.
Like, I sat through all 3 hours of Inland Empire, and I'm like, what am I watching? And yet, like, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Like, it stuck with me in my bones for the rest of the day. Like, that mood was unshakable. And how often does a movie change you like that? So
Yeah.
I think that alone is remarkable.
I read some really interesting. There was a feminist film critic who was talking about how, while he had accusations of misogyny in films like Blue Velvet, like
Mm.
Roger Ebert famously objected to what he put Isabella Rossellini through on that movie. They said that Twin Peaks was really sort of one of the first kind of major mainstream things to take a woman's abuse seriously, and to take
Mm.
a a woman's trauma seriously. And so I think you can't really pigeonhole him in that way. I think his work speaks to a lot of different audiences and in a lot of different ways. There's obviously the whole sort of queer text of part of Mulholland Drive.
Mhm.
There's a lot to be read into his stuff, and I think that for the rest of our lives, people are going to be analyzing and discussing and arguing about what's even happening in some of these movies and what does it all mean.
Yeah. Ed Looney says he died too soon, but I do think his cameo in The Fablemans is a wonderful note to leave us on. I was just mentioning this to Nick just the other day, because Nick is in photography at school and he loves taking pictures. And I was just telling him the whole thing about, like,
The
when the horizon's
horizon.
here, it's interesting. The horizon's here, it's interesting. When the horizon's in the middle, it's fucking
Not
boring. I think about that all the time. It's just such a fun little scenery chewing moment for him. So yeah, and lots of tributes pouring in from people who worked with him, like
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage and Naomi Watts and Isabella
Kyle
Rossellini, of course, who was
MacLachlan.
also involved with him romantically for many years. And
Mhm. I love the fact that people were leaving flowers at the Big Boy, at Bob's
yes,
Big Boy in Burbank, because that was his hangout for years, famously.
yeah, Americana brand memes posted a picture of him and John Waters
Yes.
together, very young. You and I just had dinner there like a couple months ago, and
Yeah.
we had a little working dinner there. So anyway, a huge, huge loss. When I saw that he died, I was like, no. no, like I wailed repeatedly. Real fast, because everyone has this. What is your favorite David Lynch film? What would you pick?
Ooh, golly. Not counting either iteration of Twin Peaks. Uh, mm, hmm.
Did I put you on the spot?
It's a hard one. I mean, because like I remember seeing I told this story on Blue Sky when I was 16 years old. I was doing a summer college program, and near the dorm where we lived was this movie theater that would do rotating double features. And this girl across the hall was like, "Please come with me to this. Nobody else will go. I'll buy your ticket, please. I just want to go see this thing." I'm like, "Sure, fine." It was a double feature of Eraserhead and Freaks. 16-year-old me was not ready, but I never forgot it. Like that's a day that is just sort of burned in my memory. So it's hard to get past that. But obviously, like Blue Velvet is great. I love Straight Story. I love Mulholland Drive, a movie that took me a few viewings to really catch up with.
Mulholland Drive.
Yeah. So
the first time I saw it, I'm like, wait a minute, I don't get it. What's happening here? And then I went into a second time with a theory in mind.
And also, like, we did an episode of a film and a movie where we did Mulholland Drive and Sunset Boulevard, and there's some really amazing connections, down to the fact that there's a scene on the Paramount lot where you see Norma Desmond's car parked in Mulholland Drive.
Oh. It's a nice homage.
Yeah, what would you say?
We have votes for Elephant Man and Lost Highway, some Mulholland Drive, some Blue Velvet.
Wild at Heart, anyone?
Jesse just said, I find Wild at Heart to be pretty underrated. So yeah, for sure.
Walk with Me.
Yes. So R.I.P. for sure to a true icon, a true auteur, a true artist. So
do you have a favorite, Christy?
I mean, I would also say Mulholland Drive, just like it just feels like towering, amid his filmography. Like Blue Velvet is still very startling to me and still darkly funny. If anyone ever orders a Heineken, I always think of the line from Blue Velvet or a Roy Orbison song. I always think of Blue Velvet. So that feels like very ingrained in the culture in a lot of ways. But Mulholland Drive just feels like, I don't know, like the biggie to me.
And the culmination of like themes and ideas in a way. Yeah.
So anyway, RIP. We will definitely be talking about David Lynch for a while. I'm guessing it'll be our off the menu topic in February.
I think so. Yes, I can't see how it wouldn't be, unless you want to do the films of Jano Schwartz, who also died this week, the guy who made Jaws 2 and Supergirl and Santa Claus the movie and Somewhere in Time. It's been a big week for celebrity deaths.
We got to talk about Bob Uecker.
Yes, we do.
So real fast on Bob Uecker.
Okay, well, you would know the sports part of this more than I do. I know he was a famous sport announcer. I knew him from the light beer commercials and Mr. Belvedere, but I know that's the later part.
I know him from that too, because one of my best friends since I was 12 years old was the daughter on Mr. Belvedere.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, funny.
Tracy Wells, she's now Tracy Tofty. She's a realtor in Santa Clarita. One of my absolute best friends since junior high school was Heather, the daughter on Mr. Belvedere, and posted a really lovely tribute to him on her Instagram.
Nice.
Her Instagram is Freckled Realtor and has had a lot of really nice memories of him. So I think of him for that too. But he had like impeccable comic timing. He was funny as hell.
Yeah.
And he played for the Brewers and he was an announcer for a long time. But yeah, I think a lot of people, think of him from those ads. And he's got 2 statues at the Brewers ballpark, and one of them is like way far in the back, like in the must be the front row.
Right.
So yeah, it seemed like a lovely guy. Tracy said that she kept in touch with him, and he was like a really sweet and lovely guy, and every bit authentic. We talk about authenticity a lot.
Oh, good.
He was 90. Also, Joan Plowright. We got to talk about her.
I love any obit that didn't start with the fact that she was Laurence Olivier's widow, because yes, she was, but there was a lot more to her than that. Go back and watch, I don't know if they met on this, but one of their early collaborations, The Entertainer. But also you see her in films like Enchanted April, where she's just incredible. She was a Tony nominee. She was in that amazing documentary a few years ago, Tea with the Dames, with Maggie Smith and Judi Dench and
Eileen Atkins.
Thank you. And she was just like had one of those voices that did, a lot of things, and it was an incredibly talented performer.
Yes, half of the tea with the dames are no longer with us,
That's
sadly, because we
true.
lost Maggie Smith in recent months as well.
Mm,
So that is also a big loss. Okay, let's talk about award season because it is a thing that is indeed happening.
yes.
Apparently, Oscar nominations, as we mentioned, are going to be on January 23rd. The Producers Guild nominations came out this past week. Your Producers Guild nominees are Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Doom Part 2, Amelia Perez, A Real Pain, September 5, The Substance, and Wicked. And the PGA Awards are a pretty good predictor of what is going to be on that Best Picture list. Although I'd be surprised to see September 5.
Well,
But
I mean, again, we're talking 10 slots now. So how
mhm,
many did the PGA
that's
nominate?
10.
That is 10. Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's not necessarily going to be a complete matchup, but it's in the conversation. People are talking about it. So I'm sure it's going to be looked at. I think it's got an editing nomination lock. That's what everybody really has been raving about. But who knows? We'll see.
Right, and that one for us, that's one of our 2 editing winners for our LAFCA.
Mm.
Yeah, or supposedly our LAFCA dinner is gonna happen. It is
Yes.
tentatively scheduled for February 7th. It was supposed to have been last weekend.
Last Saturday, yeah.
Supposed to have been last Saturday.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that date hasn't been locked down yet, but they are looking at moving it, so it is gonna happen, we just don't know when yet.
Adam Jimenez asks a question that we were asking each other a little bit ago, which is, "Why is Amelia Perez a thing I can't understand?"
Us neither.
Yeah.
I mean, just apart from whatever, like, issues I have with the content, like, it's just so weird, and it's such a weird, and I'm not saying that as a pejorative, but I just mean in terms of, like, it's not the kind of movie you think, "Oh, this is awards bait," because, it is this oddball musical in the year of, like, Wicked and, Better Man and Complete Unknown, like, more sort of traditional takes on that. So I don't know what secret sauce this movie has that has people going crazy about it. But even getting past the weirdness, then you get into the whole, but you're doing trans wrong. And I don't know. I don't know.
One thing we're seeing a lot in the comments of our review of Amelia Perez is people who are in Mexico or from Mexico who take great offense to the
Yes.
depiction of Mexican cartels. Also, the
Hmm.
fact that everyone's accent is different. You have this French filmmaker doing a Spanish language film set in Mexico with
Right.
Mexican American actresses like Selena Gomez, and they all have different accents, and that's a problem. Like, there's a great deal of hatred and frustration about this film
Yeah.
outside of the awards world.
Yeah, I mean, apparently with the Selena Gomez character, like, they try and make a point that she lived or lives in the US to sort of
Mm.
explain why she doesn't speak Spanish the same way as other people do. But yeah, I think it's weird that, like, this is a movie where two different communities are objecting to their representation here, but
Mm.
that doesn't seem to phase, like, the mainstream kind of awards world. So, yeah.
KP mentioned something that's interesting though, which is that Amelia Perez will have the first trans actress in history nominated. Isn't that a big deal?
If she gets nominated, yeah, I mean, and that'd be great. And again, no shade on Carla Sofia Gascon; she's doing great work here. But the film itself is, that's what the kids like to say, problematic.
Yeah.
So,
Angel, who is Spanish, says, "I could hear a Castilian accent in the lead actress all the time."
mm,
So, and she's meant to be a Mexican cartel leader. And then Raymond Sosa says Emilia Perez is a highly offensive movie, trying too hard to represent that it fails to do so. Anyway, it's interesting because it is a weird, bold movie in a lot of ways, and I'm surprised too that a lot of folks are embracing it. But we'll see how it goes. But that brings us to our Writers Guild nominations, where it
yes,
did not get one. There are different qualification
you have to
rules
be a
with that.
member of the guild
So
to be
Writers Guild,
nominated.
so they break it down to original and adapted screenplay like the Oscars do. So your Writers Guild original screenplay nominees are A Real Pain, Anora, Challengers, Civil War, and My Old Ass, which I love. I think this is an
Yeah.
awesome choice and really inspired.
Did Megan Park write that as well,
I think
or someone?
so.
Oh, cool, good for her.
Anyway, and then your adapted ones are A Complete Unknown, Doom Part 2, Hitman, which is an awesome choice too. I've seen Hitman show up on a lot of top 10 lists, and that's just a really cool, fun choice. Nickel Boys and Wicked.
All interesting choices. Hitman. If I could change that last scene, that's where it falls apart for me. Everything up until then, I love, but I don't think they stick the landing.
Yeah, it's a fun movie though, and
Yeah.
some really great like sexy, playful performances. So all that is happening, but at the same time, the BAFTA tea got canceled, and
Yes.
the Oscar nominee luncheon, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
With
Major photo op. Yeah.
major photo op by the pool, but supposedly they're going to take that $250,000 and donate it to various wildfire charities. And then
Great.
there's this whole conversation, and I'm wondering what you guys think here in the chat about this, whether the Oscars should even happen, because there's this great argument going on within various people in the industry. Either don't do it at all, it's tasteless. Like Stephen King said, I'm not even going to vote for the Oscars. How can we do this when LA is burning? And then people like Patricia Arquette are saying, oh, let's take it and make it a fundraiser. The Grammys are going to happen as planned on February 2nd.
Yeah.
And they're going to make that a fundraiser. What do
Well,
you think?
look, certainly I've talked about this with people I know who work in television, and they're kind of like, yeah, could you maybe not cancel like this major show when
Right.
we're all already underemployed? So I think there are a lot of camera people and makeup people and stylists and caterers and you name it who would like there to be an Oscars this year.
Right.
At the same
Security,
time,
drivers, people who lay the carpets down.
absolutely, all those
of it.
folks. And so like I don't think we need to punish those guys, but I think the idea of making it a telethon, making it a way to use that platform for good, to be like, hey, we're giving out some awards. Also, we would love for you to donate to the Fireman's Fund or the World Central Kitchen or whatever it is that they're going to do. I think would also be of value. So yeah, I think they should do it, because I think that it means work for a lot of people, but also it means a thing that a lot of people will watch and maybe use all those eyeballs and accomplish some positive things for it.
I think about that first COVID year where they did it as a dinner party setting
at the train station. Yeah.
And people were a little more staggered about, and that was lovely. And that was a really inspired way to stage it. And it set just the right tone. And I wonder if something like that is possible, where you're still doing the show, but it's just stripped down a little bit. I don't know.
Well, I mean, look, you could do it at the Kodak and just I like go full our town, like just do it on a bare stage, have the orchestra in the pit, but not like, you don't have to have the spinning stages, and bake that into it. Like, don't make it look cheesy, make it look like, no, we're not spending money on that stuff. But we are like we're doing it, and we're here to do the things we usually accomplish during an award show, but we're also here to try and help out our friends and neighbors in Southern California.
Yeah, it's tricky. Thank you, David Leman, for your kind donation. David asks us, do you think the substance could miss at the Oscars because it's body horror and you need over 900 #1 votes to get into Best Picture? I think the fact that it got a PGA nomination is a really good sign.
Yeah, I mean, it could go either way, and I think obviously, like we're saying, in a year with Amelia Perez, like lighting everything on fire, like nobody knows anything; it's anybody's guess. Traditionally, yes, body horror not a beloved category at the Academy Awards, and lucky to even pop up in makeup or whatever. But that movie, I think, strikes a chord in a lot of ways. And I think a lot of women in the industry feel very seen by that film. And the Demi Moore narrative that, she's certainly helped along with her Golden Globe speech, on top of giving this really incredible performance. Sure. So yeah, anything's possible.
I think too, when it came out, I thought, oh, it's just too weird. Like, how is it going to get into the Oscar conversation? But then Poor Things did really, really well last year, which I also thought was too weird. And look at that. So maybe the makeup of the Academy being younger and hipper might help in that way.
Ever since
Nomad,
Moonlight and Parasite, I'm just like, I don't know.
right? Everything Everywhere All at Once is a really weird
Exactly.
movie.
Yes. Yeah.
And that one Best Picture. Nomad J, welcome to being our channel member. Thanks for joining us here in the middle of our stream. We're happy to have that. Mary Goff says, yes, we need uplifting. I agree with Arquette. Do it as a fundraiser. Christian Corbett says, does not having the ceremony make the fires any less horrible? I don't think so. I guess it's a matter of perception, right?
Yeah.
Of how it optics.
Sure.
In a city that cares about appearances, like how does it look?
Yeah, but I think that there's a way to split the difference where the act of doing it doesn't become, oh, we don't give a shit and we're just glib and we want to be able to like wear our gowns. There's a way to do it that's like, hey, this is a thing that we do here. This is what we make here. Film and television about film, and structure it in a way where it is about, I don't know, like have firemen walking the red carpet. Like there's ways to do it. We've done this before, like after 9/11, where it was like, oh, should we do it? Where we had all that stuff happening. And like, I think there is a way to thread that needle where you are getting something out of this show that is good and that is useful and that is meaningful, and that it isn't just like, what fires? No, I'm here to look gorgeous, yeah.
Yeah, good questions all. And I think the economic perspective of it is crucial. Like, keep these people working, keep those like styling suites going, and the drivers and the security and all that. Got a question here I want to address, because I don't think we ever talked about the DGAs, but Monica Merle points out what happened to all the directors nominated for the Directors Guild Award are men. Right. It's Sean Baker, Brady Corbet, James Mangold, Edward Berger, and Jacques Audiard, right?
I believe that's right. Yeah.
So like Coralie Fargia misses out, and that is unfortunate.
Well, I mean, this is an ongoing thing of, what is the membership of these organizations and who is getting the jobs, that are reflected by these organizations. And it's, it's a building process. It sucks. And it, I think a lot of talented women every year this rolls around. It's like, well, why didn't they nominate?
Yeah.
But it's systemic.
Sorry about that. Seth points out that they had the Oscars during World War II. Yeah, they've never missed the Oscars.
Exactly. During World War II, they made them out of wood and like spray painted them gold, I think, because the metals were, being, used for the war effort. I don't think they need to cancel it. And I think they can put them on without seeming like they're not clued into what's going on, because I think everybody involved in the industry who lives here is undeniably clued into what's going on, because it's part of our reality. But I think there's a way to reflect that within the show and use the show for good.
Maybe it's like when, musicals were big during the Depression, right? It's like people need the escape, right?
People need the escape, but I think also like you can do an entertaining show that also educates and advocates and fundraises.
Yeah. David Leman, thank you very, very much. Says, why does everybody complain about no female nominees in director when it should be about quality and not gender? This year, we'll have all male director lineups only because the female films aren't strong. Disagree that the female films aren't strong. I think the substance is excellent. But it's just percentage-wise, more men make movies, unfortunately, and that's why more men get nominated for this stuff, because they nominate each other. Anyway, that is that. So what else am I missing here? Okay. So the Grammy, we talked about the Grammys. There's going to be a FireAid benefit concert on January 30th at the Intuit Dome. And it's going to be like Live Aid, right? Like Farm Aid, but it's FireAid. And the lineup so far includes Billie Eilish, Lady Gaga, Joni Mitchell, Stevie Nicks. I think Gwen Stefani's doing it. Green Day, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Cool. Where's the Intuit Dome?
Intuit Dome is in Inglewood. It's where the Clippers play now.
The Forum.
No.
No.
The
Okay.
Forum is a different building.
Okay, I don't know.
They built a whole like $2 billion building. I took Nick to see 21 Pilots there this
Gotcha.
summer. This is the new place where like it's all facial recognition.
Oh, brother.
You scan your face to get in, and then like you scan your face to go get concessions. Nobody works the concession stands. You scan your face and a door opens and you pick out what drinks and food you want.
God. And then if
And-
you're Josh Hartnett, the police come. I don't know.
Exactly. He can't use his face because they'll find him.
Exactly. Now, is this concert going to be like broadcast? Is it going to be on like YouTube or something? Or
It's got to be. I'm sure it's one of those things like Stand Up to Cancer where they have it
Yeah.
on multiple networks simultaneously, and it's a fundraiser. It's like a big,
Cool.
a big telethon kind
or
of fundraiser
Coachella.
thing. So the exact Coachella. So that is happening on January 30th, and then the Grammys are a few days later on February 7th. Some things that are happening kind of locally. The landmark theaters here in LA
Yes.
this weekend are donating $1 from every ticket to fundraising, to wildfire fundraising.
Nice.
So that's several different theaters, and they're all showing good stuff like Nora and The Brutalist.
Oh, cool.
So you can catch up with those. A Complete Unknown is playing at One, Alonzo. You can catch up with
I'm
that
gonna go, I promise.
and know that your money is going to a good place. And then American Cinematheque has reopened all of their theaters, and what they say is that they're taking 50 cents of every ticket for the rest of 2025
Nice.
and
Well
donating
done.
it to charity.
And they're showing Clue this weekend at the Arrow if people want to go see that.
And they're showing some David Lynch movies.
Yes, Saturday night is Inland Empire, and there's one other one they're doing this weekend. Like they just popped up on the schedule, and I'm sure with more to come.
And I think that was already on the schedule.
Oh,
It just
wow.
happens to be a
Fascinating.
coincidence.
Okay.
I think so. So that is happening. Paris Hilton has raised $800,000 alone for fire relief. It's
Good on
probably
her.
more at this point. Her house burned down. She watched
Yes.
her house burn down on television. So that is that. Okay, let's take some time really fast. I guess not really fast. We could do a whole half an hour on
I
this
was
next
gonna
topic.
say this is a whole murder board.
Okay, the whole Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds thing. I don't think we have gone into sufficient in-depth detail on this, and it keeps changing. New shit has come to light. They keep suing each other.
Yeah, the New York Times piece runs, and it's all about how basically that Justin Baldoni got ahead of any accusations of Blake Lively made about him by like tarring her in social media and using the same consultant that apparently helped Johnny Depp do the same thing to Amber Heard. And then that piece runs, and then Baldoni sues the Times, and he sues Blake Lively for talking to the Times, and then he sues Ryan Reynolds for a character in Deadpool v Wolverine that is maybe a parody of Justin Baldoni, and Blake Lively is countersuing. And as somebody who's just reading the headlines and not trying to get too deep in this, it feels like Baldoni is doing that thing that like our former and next president does, which is keep saying things and throwing things out into the world so that people just throw their hands up and go, you're both wrong. I don't trust anyone in all this. It's all a lie, and even Blake Lively has referred to this as kind of classic abuser behavior, but nonetheless, this is all pending litigation. So who knows anything?
Flood the zone with shit, as Steve Bannon says. And that's what's happening. So now Justin Baldoni is suing Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds for $400 million. They keep suing each other. He also has asked for all of this documentation from the studios.
Disney.
I'm sorry, what's that?
From Disney about Deadpool versus Wolverine.
Right. So the Nice Pool character, he thinks is based on him, which is a flex. It's kind of a weird self-own. Like, hey, that douchebag on the movie, that's
me. Yeah, that's kind of a Streisand effect there. It's like, dude, maybe
right. So when you say I feel seen,
yeah.
maybe he didn't want that this time. So so the character in Deadpool versus Wolverine has like a ponytail and insists that he's a feminist and he's super nice, but he's actually like really douchey and toxic. And so Justin Baldoni watched that and thought it was him. And then there's some like forensic stuff going on with the credits where if you look at it ends with us, There's like a thanks to nice pool. Anyway,
Oh boy.
there's stuff going on with like hidden little messages. But then he is now releasing all these emails and texts. Like they're both releasing texts, but he says that her text choices are out of context and make him look bad. And he's setting up a website to release everything. And one of the things that's come out is that Blake Lively refers to herself as Khaleesi. Do you see this?
I did not see this.
Right? So like from Game of Thrones,
Okay.
she says that she's Khaleesi and she has her dragons that she can sick on people to do her bidding. And one of those, she does not specify this, but it is implied that one of the dragons is her husband. One of the dragons is Taylor Swift.
Oh boy.
Supposedly she's one of the people fighting for her. And like the whole scene on the rooftop where they first meet and it ends with us. She rewrote that and she told him like Taylor and Ryan think it's better what I wrote.
I have never been happier not to have seen a movie. Like I never saw It Ends With Us. I know it's on Netflix now, but it's like the more this stuff happens, I'm like, I just don't even want to know. I kind of
think now you need to see it more than ever though.
Well, yeah, but what if I get called to be a juror? Then what?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I am prejudiced. So you'd be juror number 2. Lie and pretend you didn't know anything. God. So it's like you don't know who to root for.
No.
Because like everyone here seems awful. Like if indeed he did have this disgusting, toxic set for this movie and like bring in his friend to do the gynecologist role and all of the things that she alleges he did. But then when she spoke out about it, he wanted to use these PR people to ruin.
Yeah, if he did the stuff that the Times said he did, that's gross, obviously.
Right.
But then, it's all again, and clearly the flooding the zone with shit is working on us because we don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah, a couple of folks mentioning in the comments, what is the Streisand effect? And our friend Christine says it's when you complain publicly about something and you actually make it come true. Like you call more attention.
That no one would have noticed otherwise. What it refers to is there was some website that was studying the Pacific coastline and soil erosion and sand erosion, and among the photos on that website were of Barbra Streisand's like Malibu compound, and she complained and wanted them taken down for privacy's sake, but because nobody knew that was her compound until she spoke up about it. Suddenly then everybody went to that website to look at the pictures of Barbra Streisand's compound, where if she'd not said anything about it, no one would have known it was there.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, so that is kind of that is this for sure. Anyway, it's a lot of really powerful people.
Yeah, it's just a millionaire on millionaire flexing here.
It is. So we have a couple of things I want to mention. David LeMan, thank you so much again for your kind donation. David says, "Hey Christy, what Oscar nominations are you and Alonzo most hoping for? Mine are Daniel Craig and Mohamed Russelov for The Seed of the Sacred Fig. That ending broke me. Yeah, that's an excellent film.
Yeah, Mohamed Russelov that'd be exciting. That was Lafka's choice for Best Director this year.
Yeah, I can imagine we'll get an international Oscar nomination. That's one of the shortlisted ones.
Yeah, I would hope so. I would love to see any recognition of challengers. I'm glad that I got a Writers Guild nomination because I feel like it's sort of, as an early part of the year movie, kind of gotten forgotten. I would love to see Nicole Kidman get a nomination for Baby Girl, but it's a very competitive year for women.
I can imagine that Nicole Kidman will get nominated. That seems
I
like
hope.
a thing that will happen.
I hope, but there are scenarios in which she doesn't. I think just because there's so many strong contenders. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't even off the top of my head think of one that I'm really looking forward to because I feel like a lot of the movies that I love are getting a lot of attention, like Nora and The Brutalist. Yeah, I love that Challenger score. We picked that Challenger score at LA Film Critics, so maybe that will get in there. That will be kind of cool. Dalen, thank you so much for your kind contribution. Dalen says, in regards to the LA charity concert, what is the most memorable donation concert to you? Personally, I'll never forget the 9/11 concert with David Bowie, Billy Joel, and Adam Sandler doing Opera Man. I mean, there's some great stuff in Live Aid.
Yeah, I was the right age for Live Aid. That was like the summer between my freshman and sophomore year in college. So I was very glued into that and down for a lot of those performers. And um, I will always remember Mark Goodman from MTV being so excited to announce that Led Zeppelin was going to perform, and they're doing Stairway.
I mean, you got to give the people what they want, right?
Indeed, yeah.
Thank you to our friend Seth Roble. Seth says, will you
Hey,
guys
Seth.
be recapping The White Lotus in February? Parker Posey and Carrie Coon.
Ooh, I would be down. Did you watch the first 2 seasons?
I have never seen White Lotus.
Ooh, well, here's the thing. You don't have to have, because they don't really like, the only thing that connected season 1 and season 2 was Jennifer Coolidge, and spoiler, her character dies in season 2. So I think you could probably come into this clean and be fine. So yeah, we should.
We should. That sounds really fun. I would like to do that. I know we were just finishing up Skeleton Crew today. We got a couple more weeks of Squid Game. We were talking about doing that new Daredevil series when that begins. But yeah,
Totally.
that's a really
good
good
idea,
idea.
Seth. Thank you.
That is a good idea. What else did I want to mention? Okay. So Timothy Chalamet, speaking of awards and award movies,
Yes.
Timothy Chalamet rode a bike to the London premiere of A Complete Unknown, one of those Lime bikes you can just, put the money in and
Oh,
pull it out.
funny. Okay.
And he pulled up to the red carpet on his bike because he's adorable and charming and does that kind of thing. He said that supposedly it's because there was so much traffic that he had to use a bike to get there. That sounds kind of like BS. Like, I'm thinking the studio is going to find a way to get Timothy Chalamet to the premiere.
Yeah.
But it's a nice idea that he has one less car. He got a parking fine. He got a $79 parking fine, 65 pounds, I guess it was, for parking the bike illegally.
That's when you have your assistant kind of come and take it, after you've dismounted and done all your photos. I'm surprised that more people, given the state of things, and especially like if we have an Oscars this year and we're talking about, wildfires and climate change and whatnot, like why more people don't eschew the limousines and like show up in something a little more, eco-friendly.
Right. Urjo says, I'm sure it was paid for by Lime. I mean, it seems a little conspicuous, like, oh, look, all of a sudden, here's Timothy Chalamet on a bike.
It's
How'd
good
that
publicity
happen?
for them, for sure.
Right. Well, like Ed Begley Jr. takes the subway and the train and rides a bike and stuff. Like Ed
Exactly.
Begley Jr. walks the walk.
Yeah. And look, the subway comes right to the Dolby. So like there's no excuse not to take that to the Oscars.
That is really true. There's a stop right there at Hollywood and Highland. People could walk on up and like emerge,
take the escalator and
emerge amid all of the Captain Jack Sparrow cosplay people.
They all get shooed away that week. I don't think they're around at that point.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, they do clear the street for like a week heading into that. Yeah, Command Z says that Timmy should have taken a worm to get to the premiere.
I don't know what that is.
Like the worm, like in June.
Funny.
Chris Lady says, hi, thank you for that. Besides Emilio Perez, is there another film or performance that you just don't get its award journey? For me, it's Honora and Kieran Culkin. I get both of those.
Yeah, I do too. I have to say, like, no shade on the film, but I was kind of stunned to discover that Conclave was like a big awards player. I just thought it was like a fun thriller.
Yeah.
It's a prestige thriller, but like the idea that it's this big awards blockbuster, I'm like, okay, I guess. I mean, it's good. It does what it sets out to do, but it's not like, ambitious.
I was surprised by that too, because as we described it in our review, like it's really exquisitely made trash, like good, like
it's pulpy
airport novel material. And a lot of people were very offended by my use of that description, saying it's so much better than that and so much more profound than that. Like it's very, very well made.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I don't think it's deep in any way. I mean, it's got the ending is cool and raises some issues that the movie doesn't stop to talk about. It just, then it's done, so.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it. Conclave.
no, it's good.
Okay, and then Dalen says, thank you very much, Dalen. Dalen says, thoughts on Timothy being both host and musical guest on Saturday Night Live later this month. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that's what's happening. I mean, it's not unprecedented. I think a lot of people like it's interesting. That's mostly happened when people like Ariana Grande want to show their performing chops. And here's a case of somebody who's not known as a musician wanting to showcase that aspect. It's a shrewd move because I mean, obviously, I think part of the campaign behind this movie and his performance is he's not lip syncing, he's doing all those songs, so I think that's a way to, like, if you're doing it live, you're showing that you're not like hiding behind the auto tune or whatever, unless you're Ashley Simpson. But for I'd say going on SNL like demands a certain level of stagecraft.
Right, and I think he could totally do that, and part of it is that the kind of music that Bob Dylan plays and played in this film, it's like a guy on a guitar, sitting on a stool.
Yeah. Will the first performance be like unplugged and then the second one be electric? Is that how that's gonna?
Will people throw things at Timmy on stage? And how does it work? Does he go, ladies and gentlemen, me?
I guess one of the cast members, or I bet you somebody like Elle Fanning from the movie comes out. Ed Norton,
cute.
We'll
Maybe
see.
Elle Fanning introduces him the first time, and Monica Barbaro introduces him.
There we go.
Let us produce the show. We have ideas. We do. Daniel Zambrano, thank you very, very much for your kind contribution. Daniel says, just want to say Anora was by far the best film of 2024, and Mikey Madison was my favorite performance of the year. Yeah, I agree with both of those things too.
Yeah. I made our top 10.
Yeah, for sure. And
if and when the Lafka dinner happens, Christy will be presenting to her. So
I do indeed get to do that. My fellow Valley girl. She's from the same town as me. So cool. Thank you guys so much. Oh yeah, Dalen says, I hope Edward Norton comes out. LOL. Yeah, he brought his banjo and he's gonna sing a song for you. Hope you don't mind. It's a good song. Thanks so much to all of you for being here. This is a longer stream than usual. Gosh, it's almost 1:00. You are wonderful. There's so much going on. We appreciate that in this crazy time that you shared a few moments with us here at our live stream. So thanks for your contributions. Thanks for your thoughts and your questions. I will have a link very soon and I'll pin it to the top of the channel with our fundraiser live stream next Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific. That's Thursday, January 23rd. When Oscar nominations come out, we will have a live stream. So it will look just like this, but we'll be talking about the Oscars. So come on back and join us then and share your thoughts on who got in, who did not get in. I don't like the word snub.
No.
No one snubs.
Who came in a close sixth for as far as we know?
Me. We're going to snub you now. So that's not how it works. Thank you, Dalen and Christine and Ed Looney, and really, really appreciate you. And Daniel, we really appreciate all you guys being here. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Thursday.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.